once you got all the guns, once you got all the, you know what I'm saying, the combat vehicles, bro, it's easy to control the people. What are they gonna do? All it takes is one guy putting his chest out saying enough is enough, him getting shot in the head in front of a crowd of people, for the entire crowd to be like, yeah, I'm good. No, I actually really enjoy this ration of spoiled bread that I have to eat and share with my family. Black Americans versus Haitians beef is getting worse. Really? Video by O'Shea Duke Jackson. All right, let's see this, man. Black Americans versus Haitians.
I want you guys to keep saying that the U.S. destabilizes your country. I want you guys to keep saying that the U.S. destabilizes your country. And I hear that. You know what? I hear that. But I really can't give you guys any grace because the U.S. destabilizes the black community.
Today is June 28, 2025. I'm doing research for a completely different video when this pops up on my newsfeed.
The Department of Homeland Security is eliminating temporary protected status, or TPS, for Haitian nationals who will have their legal status and work permits revoked in early September.
Now, temporary protected status happens for certain individuals of certain countries that have been destabilized, such as Afghanistan or Haiti. And what happens to certain individuals coming from said places is that they get temporary work permits and they're allowed to stay in the United States for 18 months. Now, Haitian nationals, along with other people, allegedly this is ending in September. And I noticed once this happened, there became a lot of back and forth between the Black American community and Haitians online. And for me, I never really saw a lot of Haitians and Black Americans going back and forth. I mean, I saw it more with Jamaicans and then like Africans, like Nigerians, but Haitians, I never really saw it so much. And oh yeah, I remember this. Rewind! I remember watching an interview of a Haitian guy who got his citizenship in Florida, and he talked about a time in which, where he lived, Black Americans used to jump Haitians. And when Black Americans were beating up on Haitians, they formed the Zoe Pound or Zoe Pound gang because they had to defend themselves against Black Americans who kept bullying them. And that even became a story that I heard in other places online.
I'm bringing this up because I watched this video about how these black kids in Elizabeth, Florida were attacking these Haitian girls. And they were black boys specifically who were beating up and punching Haitian girls. And then when I did a little bit more research, I found out that in Florida, they used to have a thing where it was called Haitian Day, where the black kids would go out, the Black American kids would go out of the way to attack Haitian kids. Now, for those who don't know why this is significant, it's because Haitians are the same goddamn color as me, which my grandmother and my dad's side is Haitian, so that might be why. But the point is, they're the same damn color as me. They're clearly black. Some would say blacker than us. And there's little micro racism in between warring minorities. This ain't nothing new. You see this sometimes with the Mexicanos and the Hondureños. You see sometimes with the Guatemaltecos and los Mexicanos también.
This nigga flexing his fucking Spanish and shit.
Dominicano, Haitiano también. But for it to come from a specific group of people, Black Americans, from it to come from us, when we grow up having to deal with racism and hate from the color of our skin, is just some really hypocritical to see it. I wanted to just make a video talking about this.
But then I came across a guy that's on Instagram. His name is hood_smart_. He's a pretty good content creator, right? I've been going through his content. He challenges that agreement.
So I'm gonna say this, there's this narrative, especially down south in Miami, that Black Americans used to beat up Haitians. And we used to have this stigma on Haitian. There used to be a Haitian Day, we used to whoop their ass. But my only problem with this accusation is, how do you know it was Black Americans? So despite having Kodak Black down in South Florida, and despite what Florida Promo might say, or Florida 954 Fast Pitch Music might say, there's a lot of different groups down here in Florida. You have a lot of Black Americans. You have a lot of Dominicans. You have a lot of Jamaicans. So who's to say it wasn't these other groups of people besides Black Americans? And why do Black Americans take the whole cake for bullying Haitians? Why us? Why not these other groups of people? I don't know if y'all know this about particularly Jamaicans, but Jamaicans are the only.
Hey, whoa, hey, what'd I do? Huh? What did I do? Hey, whoa, take it easy. What are you saying about Jamaicans?
Only Caribbeans who are able to completely turn off their accent and act like a whole different.
Wow! I feel attacked. Wow! Jamaicans are the only ones who are able to completely turn off their accents. Sound like they're not even from the island. No, that's the wrong one. I'm kidding. Shit, well, I guess that applies to me. Niggas don't even know I'm Jamaican sometimes. It's only when I say certain words, people are like, where are you from? Where are you from? I'm picking up a little island vibes here. Where are you from? Jamaica. Oh, I knew it!
Group, they could talk white, they could talk black very good. You would never know. Patois is damn near English. So how you know it wasn't a Jamaican cross-playing as being Black American?
Oh, whoa. Ain't nobody cross-playing, nigga. Ain't nobody cross-playing. I rep that I'm Jamaican fully. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, and the Jamaicans, they always clowning me because my accent is gone, nigga. But I've already explained why I don't really have a strong Jamaican accent. It wasn't even none intentional. For those of you who don't know the lore, right? I grew up with a single mother who grew up in abject poverty in Jamaica. My mother did. And she made some out of her life. You know what I'm saying? She did well in school. She was even head girl of her school. She went to Jose Marti for the Jamaicans. That's in Spanish Town. That's in St. Catherine. And when she was raising me and my siblings, she made it a point that we were not allowed to speak patois. So when you think of Jamaicans and how they talk, usually what you're thinking of is patois, which is the, yeah, man, all the things set, what y'all deal with, everything irie. That kind of lingo, that's what you would call patois, right? I wasn't allowed to speak patois growing up. It was probably very similar to Black Americans who maybe grow up in the suburbs, whose parents maybe grew up in a lower income environment or even grew up in the hood, and they make sure that you speak proper English 24/7. The idea behind that was that I would grow up and be able to transition into the professional world very easily because of how good my diction and grammar and pronunciation was. And she thought that a way of accomplishing that would be I wasn't allowed to speak patois. I actually didn't speak patois until I went to high school in Jamaica. Right? I went to Arden High School. And it was there that I'm now hanging around other kids who did speak patois. And then I started to really pick it up. And of course, I still, even though I didn't speak patois much growing up until I got to high school, I still had a Jamaican accent, but it was already so proper. It was already so proper that by the time I moved to America, and I've been here for what now? 14 years. By the time I moved to America, completely surrounded by Americans who have American accents, it was only a matter of time before my accent completely just disappeared. So much now to the point when I speak patois, people always tell me I sound like a tourist. But if I do go back to Jamaica and stay there for any long period of time, my accent does actually start to come back. And I imagine if I were to stay there for even 2-3 years straight, I would be speaking straight patois, sounding like I never left the island. But that's my situation. You know what I'm saying? I ain't over here. I didn't come here trying to like fake like I wasn't Jamaican or anything like that.
Or Dominican. These other groups that are from the islands, they have personal reasons to not like you. Black Americans, especially since you got here, there is no personal reason not to like you. So I'm not saying we wasn't there or wasn't involved, but I'm just asking the question. Why do we take the cake for beating up Haitians and nobody else?
So what he says is pretty interesting. First of all, he's saying, listen, I understand that, some Black Americans may have bullied Haitians, But whenever we talk about Black Americans bullying Haitians, we're not the only groups that are in America. There are other groups here, such as, Jamaicans and other people in the islands and stuff like that. So why do we get all the slack when it comes to, the bad publicity? And I thought about that. I've been thinking about this in general. Whenever I understand other groups, when they celebrate their achievements, I notice it's always like hashtag Nigerian excellence, or hashtag Jamaican excellence, or hashtag Trinidadian excellence, right? And we don't get to, participate in whatever their group achieves, as Blacks in America or Black foreigners in America. But whenever the negativity comes upon the community, whether it's anybody else, if it's a Trinidad that commits a crime, or if there's a Nigerian that commits a crime or anything like that, it automatically falls on the Black community. I remember there was a Nigerian American that committed a murder in Dominican Republic, okay? And basically, this was a prostitute that he had killed. And then automatically, all the African-American passport bros got blamed for that. If that same person from the Nigerian American community, basically graduated Harvard Medical School, that person would be Niger excellent.
Boy, yo, sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
Now, as a Black American, I gotta be honest. That is true. We don't get to participate in elements of Black success with anybody else, right? But when there's a criminality, and that does get dumped on our community. And then I noticed that even on this brother's page with Hood Smart, there started to become more on.
Now, this is a very common argument that comes from the FBA side of the internet, the foundational Black Americans, that whenever a Black immigrant, like a Jamaican, a Haitian, an African, etc., whenever they do anything positive or have any accomplishments, they always rep their island or their nation of birth, where their culture is from. But if anything negative happens, it's, this is only happening to me because I'm Black. And so I can't lie. That's a thing. That's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I've done that personally. I've actually always called myself Black. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have in the past been like, you're not Black, you're Jamaican. I'm like, no. From my perspective, we're the same, right? The boat just stopped at a different fucking dock. That's it, right? I'm Black. That's how I've always seen it. And while still being very proud of the fact that I am Jamaican and come from Jamaica. So I've never seen it as a either or. I've always seen it as a both and. But I know for a fact that what he is saying does happen. That is very real. Hey, and shout out to Wheezy and with the sub, bro. Thank you.
Debates not only on his page but on TikTok about Haitians versus Black Americans.
Right. This is the thing, and we're gonna speak facts. Black American men make up the majority of the prison systems, and I'm gonna tell you this.
Not a fact, and I can pull up the numbers.
It's factual.
Okay, it's not a factual.
So, brother, my question to you is,
No facts.
Wait, what did you just say? Black American men make up the majority? That's not true. Black Americans make up about 30% of the prison system.
It's not a factual.
And I'm gonna facts.
And when I say actually, Black people in general make up about 30% of the prison system.
Black American men make up the majority of the prison system.
That's just not true. Black people aren't the majority of the people in prison.
And I'm gonna tell you this.
Not a fact, and I can pull up the numbers.
It's factual.
Okay, it's not a factual.
so, brother, my question to you is,
No facts.
my question to you, brother, is how do you expect us to feel about you, who's coming over here and extracting our resources? You try to move the goalposts talking about some Black man in jail cells, but you didn't answer my question. How am I supposed to feel about that? Answer that question.
Okay, I wasn't trying to move the goalposts.
You didn't.
And this is the thing. I wasn't trying to move the goalposts, but it's like, how are you going to take advantage of your resources from prison? And it's like, what we know is facts. Black Americans make up 13% of the population. And it's one of the women said it.
Hold on. Right, you're too fast. I gotta catch you. What does that have to do with the things that we built?
So the guy starts to talk about, well, how many Black Americans are in jail? Like, you guys lead the prison population. Now, again, we got to also look at that, because when you talk about Black American or African American, included in that prison population would be Haitian Americans.
That's true. That they don't segregate the Black population by nationality. If you are of African descent, you're going to go towards that number. So that's the reality of the situation.
Would be Jamaican Americans. Okay, so even he's included in that number if he's now a Black citizen, right? But here is something that the brother Hood Smart asked him.
What have Haitians built since they've been in America?
And look, and I'm gonna say it again. I can't speak for who else you had on this panel or who you go back and forth with. I know since I've been here, I never took away that anything that.
See, right here it says, and this is just off of a quick Google search. While making up roughly 13% of the general population, they represent approximately 37% of the prison and jail population. But again, you got to ask yourself, how much of this is just a nigga, you know what I'm saying, smoking some weed, getting caught with weed? How much of this is just a dude, selling weed or selling drugs in general, right? It's not all violent crimes. It's not all theft and all that. And so this idea, people love to say it. I've just heard it so much. We make up 12% of the population and 50% of the prison population. That's completely false, right? Completely false.
Black Americans have done here. And to answer your question, I'll be honest with you. From my
and
knowledge,
it's easier to put more Black people in prison because they're over policed. If there's no one around to see you commit the crime, then it's as if the crime isn't happening. So when you are white and you live in the suburbs and you can literally smoke weed in your backyard, like so many of my white friends and I have done since living in America, there is actually 0% concern that the police is going to pull up on you. But when you live in the hood and it's a cop rolling down the street every fucking 15 minutes, then you are going to get caught and then put in prison. And so that's why these statistics don't even mean shit anyway, to be real with you. It would only mean shit if all communities were being equally policed. Then you could come to a more accurate perception of who's really committed more crimes.
listen, from my research, since Haitians have been coming here, because they wasn't brought here, I don't see what like big invention or big technology breakthrough. Like, nah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in 100 years.
So we can agree that Haitians haven't came over here to build nothing. What have Haitians built in Haiti so far?
I mean, Haitians in Haiti. All right, Haitians in Haiti. I feel like Haitians in Haiti.
No, y'all ain't building. But you over here.
But this is also a very ignorant argument to make. If you understand how these governments, it is damn near impossible to, once a government becomes so corrupt as it has done in a country like Haiti, it is almost impossible for the population to fix it. So yeah, you can say what have Haitians built, but the reality of the situation is that the country was destabilized. The people weren't properly equipped with the knowledge to run a functioning, less corrupt government. Once slavery ended, the power fell into the hands of a few people who quickly became corrupt and have secured that power generationally through corruption. They have all the control over the police force. They pay the people. All of this you can learn very easily, by the way. There are two books you should read: The Dictator's Handbook, as well as Why Nations Fail. If you read those two books, you will understand perfectly that countries, third world countries that aren't excelling like, a Haiti, or even more developed but still technically third world countries like Jamaica, why they aren't on par with countries like America, why so many countries in Africa aren't on par with other first world countries, has nothing to do with the competency or the work ethic or the intelligence of the people. Once a system becomes corrupt and power becomes isolated within a small percentage of the population who have no incentive or desire to delegate that power to, throughout the people. All they care about is extracting as many resources or as much resources as they can out of their human capital. It is almost impossible to fix that country, right? It is incredibly difficult.
He asked them a question like, what have you guys built in America? Right? And that's a tough question to ask the guy, but he asked him this. This is not to say that Haitians don't contribute to the United States economy or that Haitians don't do great things for, their communities or even for, like I said, in America in general. I actually love Haitians. I don't have an issue. But these arguments are coming out now since about the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm also starting to understand that a lot of Black Americans are lacking sympathy for Haitians.
Okay, Moynib says, why was a corrupt government allowed to take power? That's not how it works. It's not like everybody agrees, let's allow this corrupt government to take power. In reality, what happens is there is a small group of people who seize power very quickly. It's kind of a first person here wins kind of thing. And so that's really all it takes is the wrong people, unfortunately, got to that seat of power first, a lot of times done by deceiving the population, right? So they say, vote for us. You see this a lot when governments get overturned in like the Middle East, for instance. You have this group, this rebellious group rises up and say, we need to take back control of the resources. We need to empower the people. Vote for us, support us. We'll get this corrupt government, or we'll get these fucks out of power, and we will make sure that you get the food and the opportunities and the resources you need. And so people rally behind them. There's usually a charismatic leader. That's how fucking Hitler took over Germany. You know what I'm saying? That's how Castro took over Cuba. They are very charismatic and they speak to the people as if they care about the state of the people. And then once they get in that position of power and have control over the military, have control over the police force, and they essentially give you, if you're a high level politician, you get 2 options. Either you play ball or you die. That's it. Those are your 2 options. Once they start to rebuild their version of the government, they say, look, man, look, here's what we're going to do. You're going to keep these fucking people in line, okay, Mr. Head of Police, or we're going to throw you in jail. And they don't even need to say all of that. It's like, it's just obvious that those are your options. And so you now as the police chief, you have 2 you're like, okay, do I be corrupt with these people, get paid a pretty good salary, my kids and my family gets taken care of financially, and I have ties to powerful people in the government, or do I allow myself to be killed or put in prison? And so then it becomes a every man for themselves kind of mindset. And so that's how you get all those people who are in the government that are also corrupt. You know what I'm saying? There are no heroes. If you try to be the hero, you will fucking die. They will kill you. This is why North Korea is still North Korea. Ask yourself, why is it that North Korea, the population of North Koreans has to far greatly outnumber the amount of, well, not even. They got the military. They have one of the biggest militaries in the world, even though they're such a small nation, relatively. But the point is, once you got all the guns, once you got all the, the combat vehicles, bro, it's easy to control the people. What are they going to do? All it takes is one guy putting his chest out saying, enough is enough. Him getting shot in the head in front of a crowd of people for the entire crowd to be like, yeah, I'm good. No, I actually really enjoy this ration of spoiled bread that I have to eat and share with my family. It actually is pretty good if you put a little bit of margarine on it. I know we don't get butter here, but it tastes good. It actually, don't you think it tastes good, honey? Yeah.
So when you guys get up on here and try to make excuses and say, oh, the U.S. destabilizes us and that's the reason why, like, I feel you, but it's still, you know what I'm trying to say? And quite honestly, let's be honest, America is your liberator. That's why you guys come here, to have a better life. Because America is your liberator. You guys constantly say that America is your oppressor, but America is your liberator.
Here's the thing. America and countries like America empower these corrupt governments. They make them more corrupt. That's the problem. And America only does that because there is a strategic advantage to having that country comply. So, for instance, Haiti is very close to America. And so now I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know exactly why the deals are struck and the handouts that are sent over to Haiti are being sent over. I don't know what deals are being made behind closed doors. Again, read the Dictator's Handbook to really appreciate why it is that America gives aid to other countries. It's never for kindness. America has never sent money to a country out of the goodness of its heart, even in the wake of a national or a natural disaster. America has never done that. No country has, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's always strategic. There's always an incentive, a strategic military or government incentive for the aid. And America knows that that money is not going to be used properly. In fact, that's how they get these countries to comply. They give the money to the corrupt government with 100% knowledge that a lot of that money is going to go into individual people's pockets and will never reach the people. But it knows that that's how it buys loyalty from these countries. And so if and when their cooperation ever becomes useful or necessary, they know that they're going to comply. And in doing that, it makes the condition of the people even worse. So that is how America and other powerful countries destabilize these third world countries, because you're enabling and empowering the corrupt government. You're giving them the ability to buy more guns, to pay off more corrupt police officers, to incentivize more corrupt politicians.
America is Black Americans' oppressor, right? So if we can fight the destabilization that is happening within our own countries with our neighbors and still fight, why can you guys not fight when these people have to get on a plane or a boat to come over to your country and destabilize it?
Now, again, I start to look more at what's going on in the comments, and I'm starting to see Haitians clap back. And listen at this one.
Black American Floridians, see that? We built up Florida. We the ones who done laid down the foundation, built every black Wall Street in Florida, built all the black neighborhoods in Florida, from Rosewood, Black Wall Street, all the way down to Overtown in Miami, Black Wall Street, known as the Harlem of the South. We built that up. Last time I checked, we the ones who fought in the Florida Seminole Wars as black indigenous for 100 years plus, handing out straight BTAs with no help. And
this is an unfortunate use of energy, though. This is classic conquer and divide and conquer.
Show wasn't defeated. We just assimilated. The foundation was built by us. Everybody else is just occupying space. And you know what we call that? We call that leeching. As Black Americans, I think it's time for us to start claiming Florida more. Name dropping all our achievements in Florida, from Miami all the way to the Panhandle.
Look, I can appreciate the propaganda, how annoying it is, the propaganda against Black Americans, especially when Black Americans oftentimes have to wear the responsibility of the poor actions of Black immigrants, because from the perspective of the white man, from the perspective of the Latino man, all blacks are the same. You know what I'm saying? So when a Black Jamaican, Haitian, African comes and does some foul shit, the Black Americans got to wear that as well. And so I can understand the frustration of having to deal with that and then hear what sounds like ingratitude coming from black immigrants and black immigrants talking down on black Americans. It's fucked up, but the solution isn't attacking each other, man. The solution isn't coming at each other.
Anybody question you about it? Ask them what they built since they've been here and wait for a response. I bet you won't get one.
Now, in this situation, you hear a commenter going back and forth with the guy, and I believe this was on TikTok. He just happened to repost it on TikTok, but basically he reposted on Instagram also. And the guy is saying Miami will always remain Zoe's, period. And so what Mr. Hood Smart is saying, well, what have you really contributed to Florida? Like all of this, you know, like the Black Wall Streets in Florida's, everything you see in Florida, Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, all of those schools that you see were for black Floridians and not for you. And I think that when we start really looking at the beef between the black communities, we got to start being mindful of what we say. For example, I'm in Uganda, I'm in Kampala, right? And let's say a group of us start doing well here. We can never start to say Kampala will always be for black Americans or hashtag FBA period. And one of the reasons why you can't say that, I don't care how good you're doing in the country, is because, well, you're going to offend some people who actually did develop that for anybody, right? Like whatever I'm doing in Uganda right now, despite the problems the country has, I gotta pay homage because I couldn't run this business if the country didn't have a certain level of infrastructure. I could be in a different African country that wouldn't have this infrastructure, that wouldn't give me an opportunity. And I am getting an opportunity from being here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And so what happens is it causes friction in between black groups. And so what I noticed is that conversations.
And then, okay, Menace Live says, I feel like some Haitians look down on black Americans on the way they talk about him. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's not just Haitians, bro. It's all black immigrants. You will find that. You will find it with black Jamaicans talking shit about black Americans. But really what it is these black immigrants coming from Africa and the Caribbean and South America, they are the best that their country has to offer, usually, right? They are coming, they probably already got family here that is established. They have an education, more than likely, right? A lot of times college educated. They're not coming here broke. They may not be coming here rich, but they have some amount of money, or at the very least, a support system, meaning they are not coming here with the need to rely on handouts like food stamps and shit like that. They are the best that their country had to offer, more than likely. Also, more than likely had connections and shit like that, because it's not easy to get a green card to come live in America. And so what they do, unfortunately, is they come to America and then they compare themselves with the worst of the black Americans. The black Americans that literally are in the slums, are in the trenches, no education, grew up, no father, crackhead mother type shit. You're comparing yourself. What you really should be doing is comparing the worst of the people from your country to the worst of the people here. And don't compare yourself to the best of, you should compare yourself to the best of the black Americans. You're the best of whatever your country had to offer, more than likely, if you come here. How are the black Americans who are being raised in 2-parent households in upper middle class suburban neighborhoods, how are they turning out? You know what I'm saying? They're usually turning out pretty fucking good. And that's really what it is. But here's why these black immigrants, as a black immigrant speaking here, why they end up doing that. And it really is to kiss up to the white man, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not a conscious thing, but it's kind of like you want people, like you buy into this idea that America truly is a perfect meritocracy. And You want to just show the world, white people included, but mostly white people because they're the ones who hold the keys. They're the ones that hold most of the power in America. Look, we're hardworking, industrious, intelligent people. We're not like these, these Lil Waynes and people like that y'all see on the TV with the hippity hop and all that shit. That's not us, okay? We're very serious. We come here, we study, we work hard, we show up on time, right? We don't break the law. The whole model immigrant type shit that has been put on Asians, it's the same thing. And so one way to further separate yourself from the bad black Americans is to talk shit about them. If you talk shit about them, that sends the message that you really don't see yourself as the same as them at all. And yeah, that's really what it is. It's like a subconscious submitting to white supremacy and the racist views that have been formed about lower income, low education black Americans. I truly believe that's what it is. Because it's not like these immigrants don't got broke, unmotivated, lazy, unintelligent people in the country they're coming from. With, 20 baby mamas and all. It's worse, actually, in all these countries. If you go and look, the worst of the people in all these immigrant countries, bro, it ain't nothing crazy to have 5, 6, 7 baby mamas in a lot of these countries. You know what I'm saying? That ain't breaking news to run into a nigga with fucking 7 baby mamas, bro. Don't spend no money or time on any of his kids. So yeah, man.
It's like this that happened between blacks. And when I hear certain things like this, one of the things that I start to do is I just stay out of it, right? And I think that that's something that we need to really look at when we're going back and forth with people online and the conversation starts to become negative and it's to a point where it's not leading anywhere. We end up getting back to, back and forth disagreements, which again, it just causes more animosity. And the thing about it is this guy who says Miami will always remain Zoe's period, he don't represent all Haitians. Like, that's the one thing that we got to understand. He's saying that, but that don't mean that everybody else from Haiti cares about that. Most people, what I found out is if you can give them an opportunity and if you're a good person, they're going to rock with you for the most part, individually of whatever beef is supposed to be happening, right? No matter if they Jamaican, if they Caribbean, if they FBA, if you got something to offer and you a solid person, they going to rock with you. A lot of times what black Americans may not know is like on Africa, they would.
Bro, that's fact, bro. I have never felt like all my best friends in America really are black Americans, bro. When I think about them, right? I mean, I got my boy Birdo. Technically, his parents are Jamaican, but he grew up in America. He's American. Dior, Will, fucking, and then there are niggas that I'm very cool with that y'all wouldn't know. They're not on the internet like that. But yeah, bro, I've never felt ostracized because of my Jamaicanness. You know what I'm saying? Black Americans have never made other to me. But the unfortunate thing is it does happen the other way. Now, I'm not saying that hate ain't a thing. And in all reality, pendulums, when they swing, they oftentimes swing too far. I do think that is kind of being nurtured by the FBA community and other communities like them. What started off as a reasonable and even necessary mission to, kind of deal with this problem that we've been talking about here. I have seen those communities start to just turn into tribalistic, we don't fucking like immigrants, like we hate immigrants type shit. All immigrants, fuck them, get them out of here. And that's unfortunate, man. That's unfortunate. So I would say when I first moved here, I never saw that at all. But now I am starting to see black Americans genuinely they don't like black immigrants.
A lot of times, a lot of Africans would rather deal with black Americans than to deal with other Africans. Like a lot of the FBAs may or may not know that, but that's something I always notice. You will have people, if you were to go to Haiti, I'm pretty sure, you will have Haitians that will want to work with you, maybe other than working with their own group. It shouldn't be like that, but that typically is the case. And that could be said from us to a certain degree or whatever. So a lot of times when you make a comment like what this guy said, Miami will always remain Zoe's period, it makes other people feel like, oh man, well, all of them are like that, even though that's not true. But I saw this particular comment and it made me think of something different.
And when we get into the conversations about, how other parts of the black diaspora talk about their parents told them don't ever bring black Americans home, never am I ever talking about Haitians. Never. Because when you really think about it, the way they be talking about us is kind of how they be talking about Haitians. And I've never had a problem with a Haitian. Never.
And also this one.
I don't know if this is a Haitian thing or a black people thing, but they'll talk the whole time they're eating your food and still eat the whole plate. Still eat the whole plate. I don't care what nobody say. Like every bite, they're complaining. Every bite. Oh my God, those people are so judgmental, especially them people that knows how to cook. Like if you know how to cook, every bite, they gonna complain. That could use some cayenne. That could use some Cajun. That could use some bell pepper. Like, dang, if you don't like it, put the fork down, big back.
Got him. Now, the first sister says that, you know what? Haitians ain't never did nothing to her. And then another person tried to bring out a similarity between Haitians and black Americans, criticized but still eating all the food. And why do I want to lead with that? Well, this is what I found out. You're going to have distinction in between all groups, right? People can go back and forth online or even in person. But here's what I want to say. You still got to be careful of who you judge. Not all people, again, I'm going to say, are like that. You got a lot of Haitians, Jamaicans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Liberians. Like I was in Kenya the other day. When I look at the Matatu bus and when I see who's on the bus.
Wheezy says even here in South Africa, is he saying South Africa or is he saying Sacramento? I'm not even sure. He's saying probably Africa. Black South Africans feel like they're better than people from neighboring countries like Zimbabwe. Yeah, I think you can find this among every racial group, bro. Every major racial group. The Asians, they got their little hierarchies in their minds, like, the Chinese and the Japanese and the Koreans, they're up top, and then the Filipinos and the other Asians, they're more down the bottom. Like the brown, really it's the browner you get, the worse off you are with the Asians, it seems. And then the blacks, bro, growing up, I had no idea why, but I always heard Jamaicans and Haitians don't get along, bro. Like since I was a kid, I heard that shit and I had no understanding of why that was the case, but it was just a thing. I've never had a problem with a Haitian person in my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. It's just a thing that, like, more than anything, it's Jamaicans hate being called Haitian. Like, that's one of the worst things for some. Obviously, not all. Not me. I couldn't give up. Again, we all come from the same place, as far as I'm concerned, more or less. There is some genetic variation, but more or less the way how I see it, right? We all come from the same place. But yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Michael Jordan. I'm seeing Kobe Bryant. I'm seeing Ice Cube. I'm seeing so many people giving so much respect to the hashtag culture of which we come from. Like, I see so many people just really appreciating folks. Like when the baby comes to Africa or when Chris Brown comes to South Africa. It's a lot of respect going on there, right? And people do love us worldwide. We got to always remember that. Even though we may have disagreements with people in the diaspora, You are loved in a lot of places around the world. That's just the truth, right? And another thing too is you can still work with some of these people. And we gotta keep in reminder that, like, you shouldn't feel like because some people are disrespecting the community online, then they all do. You can get a lot of opportunities working with people that you don't know. And that's in the Black community, that's in the Haitian American community, that's in so many communities. I've been literally helped beyond my wildest dreams by almost everybody. The celebrity junk, the thing that really blew my channel up, was created by a Kenyan by the name of Satati. You know what I mean? I got help from Dima, who's a Russian. I mean, so many people have helped me in my life. Kevin Samuels, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was able to do some things for my mother working with Kevin Samuels that I couldn't do from anybody in my life. And I met him for only like 4 or 5 years of my life. The world.
Jamaican women love a hard-working Black American man. That's a facts. That's facts, bro. Yeah, that's true.
The world is like that, okay? And you need to be mindful of.
I got Jamaican family who, you know what I'm saying, happily married Black American men.
Hey, yeah, there are some people who think like that, and there are some people who are going to just judge you based on who you are. And if you're a good person and you got value, they're going to rock with you and they're going to respect you and respect what you have to offer. And I have never had that issue with Haitians. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't had it, but hey, I've met good people that were Nigerians. I met good people that were Ghanaians, that were Ugandans. I also met a lot of bad. As we keep developing as Black people, and even within the hashtag FBA community, not everybody hates you. A lot of people like you, all right? And you're gonna have some people that don't come correct, but a lot of people and many people will come correct. And we still gotta have that opportunity to let people work with you and you work with them. And if there's mutual respect, why not go for it? You're gonna have disrespectful people in any community, but you shouldn't let that be the reason as to why you can't work with them. A lot of people around the world can bring you a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, man. So to put a nice little bow and ribbon on this whole conversation, there is no point in the bickering, the putting yourself against another group of Black people. You know, I would say the biggest takeaway from this is that really it's more for the immigrants. Just when you come here, don't allow yourself to be used as a pawn to further white supremacy by going along with all of these narratives that are targeted at lower income, lower education Black Americans, right? The whole, you know, the YNs are destroying society and the fatherless this, fatherless that, da. White supremacy created all of those problems. It created all of those problems, and it's going to require intervention in order to fix those problems quickly. I believe those situations are getting better. I personally believe in natural selection. I believe that everything gets better over time. Sometimes it looks like it's getting worse, but things are always evolving and progressing towards a better state. And so, yeah, the situation for Black Americans is getting better objectively, and it will continue to get better, even for the poorest among them. But if you want to see rapid change, it's going to require intervention. And so don't allow yourself to be used as a tool, you know, talking shit about those people. What you got to do is look at the best people in the Black community and compare yourselves to them, the Black Americans. Compare yourself to them and see how you stack up against them. And then remember all of the people you left back home, right? All of the people with no drive, no work ethic, they have the same problems, a lot of times way worse. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, just come here, mind your business, do your thing. You feel me? And understand that the only reason that you even want to come here is because a lot of Black Americans had to sacrifice sometimes their life to fight for the rights that allowed for us to come here and prosper. You know what I mean? Sure, you could say it's not the Black Americans living today, it was their forefathers, but you know what I'm saying? Still, don't Don't allow white conservative propaganda to put you against this group of people when their forefathers are the people that made you even want to come here in the first place.